So today we're going to take a look at what's going to happen if all of these Scandinavian countries unite in the modern day. Now the Scandinavian Union is going to consist of countries like Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, as well as Iceland. Greenland is a Danish territory, so yeah, it's also included. But let's see what happens if they unite in the modern day. Let's see who they declare war on, how they expand, and everything else. But before we start the video, I want to talk about my new YouTube channel, where from now on I'll be uploading more territorial.io as well as Age of History 2 videos. You guys can also join the Discord via the link in the description. But now let's get right into the video. Now as we can see here, the Scandinavian Union is a pretty big country. I think after Russia this is the biggest country in Europe because of Greenland, of course, and this country probably runs under Sweden because of obvious reasons. And this union also will not be that much unstable because all of the northern European countries are very stable nations and they don't have any problems with each other. So yeah, but still, you clicked on this video because you obviously want to see some war stuff and you want to see the Scandinavian Union to declare war on other countries. That is what's just going to happen now. But for 10 or 20 years, the Scandinavian Union is going to try to militarize their country. They're going to be recruiting troops from all over the country, also trying to make the economy better. And yeah, also I need to mention the fact that major alliances like NATO, CSTO, the EU or the UN, they do not exist in my videos. If they would exist, they would not let these countries to expand. Now after having a nice little military and also having a good economy, we can see that the Scandinavian Union is ready for their first military campaign. And this military campaign obviously is going to be of Estonia, who was very close to the Scandinavian Union and who was also looking very vulnerable. So yeah, let's see. We can see that the Scandinavians make a naval landing in the western parts of Estonia and they also take out all of these islands. Eventually we can see that they're now pushing towards Tallinn, which is the capital city of Estonia. And unfortunately for the Estonians, they lost their capital city because they were heavily outnumbered and also because of the way better equipped Scandinavian army. And ultimately we can see that all of Estonia is now under the Scandinavian control, and then later on Estonia gets completely annexed by the Scandinavian Union. Now you may think that the Scandinavian Union is going to declare war on Latvia next, but that is not going to happen, as the Scandinavian Union has some other plans and they're actually focusing most of their money into their navy. The military spending is mostly spent on the navy. So yeah, we can see that more and more naval assets are being made on the coast of the Scandinavian Union. They're also being imported from other countries, and it turns out that the Scandinavian Union wants to create a belt around Europe so they can control all of the trade routes all across Europe. And yeah, instead of gaining land, they want some strategic locations around Europe. And in order to do that, we can see that the Scandinavian Union now has a very formidable navy, which they're gonna be using for some military campaigns. And yeah, after many years of preparations, we can see that the Scandinavians now declare war on Ireland because of its very strategic location, and yeah, nothing else. We can see that the Scandinavians make a naval landing up in the north, and now all of Ireland is blockaded from all sides by the Scandinavian Navy. We can see that they have made multiple naval landings, and all of these armies are trying to meet up, which they do so successfully, and all of the western parts of Ireland are under the Scandinavian control. But eventually there is this kind of stalemate, but it doesn't stay like this forever, as the Scandinavian troops now push in, and they push towards the capital city of Ireland, which was Dublin. And unfortunately for the Irish, Dublin was captured, and slowly but surely all of the Irish troops are getting devastated. And after losing everything, we can see that the remaining soldiers just go ahead and surrender. And this was a decisive victory for the Scandinavian Union, as they took out a very major country. So yeah, let's now take a look at a peace negotiation. And in a peace negotiation, we can see that all of the western parts of Ireland were completely annexed, but the eastern parts are not vassalized, and the Scandinavians also did not completely annex all of Ireland because they don't want land, they want strategic locations all around Europe. So yeah, that's why. Also the UK is very uncomfortable having the Scandinavian Union right next door. So yeah, now with the invasion of Ireland being a complete success, we can see that the Scandinavian Union is going to prepare for another major invasion. And in order to do so, we can see that the Scandinavians are now recruiting troops from all over the country, but once again they're mainly focusing on their navy, and it seems like they are ready for their military campaign, which is going to be of Portugal. And now things are not looking good for Portugal, as they don't have the strength to fight the Scandinavian Union. But okay, let's see. Immediately we can see that the Scandinavian Navy has completely destroyed all of the Portuguese ships and all of the other naval assets, and now Portugal is completely blockaded from all these sides, and there are huge fights going on in the coastal regions. But ultimately we can see that the Scandinavians were able to make one naval landing up in the north, where they push around and capture all of the northern northern regions. We can see that they make another landing down in the south. And now Portugal is fighting a two-front war. The capital city is constantly getting threats, but we can see that these troops are now trying to meet up, which they do so successfully. And now Portugal is getting crippled. And unfortunately for the Portuguese, no one is coming for their rescue, even though they are very good allies with the United Kingdom. But the UK also does not want to fight the Scandinavian Union alone. So yeah, we can see that one Scandinavian army pushes in, and the Battle of Lisbon ends in a decisive Scandinavian victory. And with all of this chaos, we can see that the remaining parts of Portugal just go ahead and surrender. And again, in a peace negotiation, we can see that all of the southern parts of Portugal were completely annexed, and the northern parts of Portugal are released, but they have a forced alliance with the Scandinavian Union. So yeah, but as of now, we can see that the Scandinavian Union is pretty much successful with their belt, which they wanted to make in order to control all of the trade routes, but they still don't have anything in the Mediterranean, and that is what they're just gonna do now. They want some bases in the Mediterranean Sea too, and after that they're gonna do another military campaign in Europe, which may be of Germany, but for right now they want a military base in the Mediterranean Sea. They actually want 2 military bases. For the first base, we can see that they declare war on Malta, which gets absolutely devastated by the Scandinavian Navy, and their other invasion is going to be of Cyprus. Now Cyprus is a very strategic location because it's also pretty close to the Suez Canal, and it can give a very good strategic location for the Scandinavian Union in the Mediterranean Sea. So yeah, let's see. We can see that the Scandinavians make a naval landing on the western parts of Cyprus, and they start pushing in. Eventually we can see that they took the capital city of Nicosia, and the remaining parts of Cyprus just go ahead and surrender. Now I'm gonna ignore all of the Turkish troops here, as well as the UN border. So yeah, let's just say that Cyprus was its own country. And now we can see that the Scandinavians control all of the trade routes, and they're now getting huge amounts of money from all of the countries which want to trade, mainly talking about Russia here, because they only have 3 main ports, 2 down here in Crimea and 1 here in St. Petersburg, and both of them are controlled by the Scandinavian Union. So yeah, the Scandinavian economy is booming right now. And yeah, after that we can now see that they finally go on a Baltic invasion, where they want to take out both Latvia as well as Lithuania. Now they did not want to do this before, but now because they have all of these strategic locations, it's okay now. And I should also mention the fact that the Scandinavian military is by far one of the best militaries in the world. But anyways, we can see that the Scandinavian troops are now pushing into Latvia, and their navy also comes into action as they make a landing in the western parts of Lithuania, where they push in, and they're trying to get to the capital city of Lithuania. But in Latvia, we can see that they lost their capital city of Riga, and with this the remaining parts of Latvia just go ahead and surrender. And we can see that the Scandinavian troops are now pushing into Lithuania, and they also lost their capital city. And with this we can see that the Lithuanians also go ahead and surrender. And this was one of the best military campaigns for the Scandinavian Union, because they did everything very fast because of having a very good economy, a good navy, as well as a good military. And in a peace negotiation we can see that all of these countries got completely annexed, and this is the Scandinavian Union at its peak. But now comes the division of the empire. Well, this time the monarch of this empire dies, and he basically had 2 children. Both these guys fight each other, but they ultimately come to an agreement where they want to divide up the empire. So yeah, now let's take a look at these divisions. Okay, so if we take a look at these divisions, we can see that the oldest son got himself most of the original Scandinavian land, alongside with all of these strategic locations, and the other son got himself all of the Finnish parts, as well as all of the Baltic nations. So yeah, this is going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and tell me what you guys want to see in the future. And thank you for watching.